There's a quiet revolution happening all around us, and it doesn't always announce itself loudly. It doesn't march in the streets or demand attention. Instead, it lives in everyday choices. Choices some women make to remain single, not temporarily, not until the right one comes along, but intentionally and long term. For many people, this idea feels confusing, even threatening. Society has long told a very specific story about women and happiness. Grow up, fall in love, get married, build a family. Anything outside that path is often seen as incomplete or sad. But for a growing number of women, the truth looks very different. Some women want to be single forever, not because they failed at love, but because they succeeded at understanding themselves. This choice is rarely impulsive. It's usually shaped by experience, reflection, and a deep awareness of what brings peace versus what drains it. To understand this, we need to move beyond stereotypes and really listen to what these women are saying, sometimes quietly, sometimes boldly, through their lives. For many women, the desire to remain single begins with self-knowledge. They've spent years observing their own patterns, their emotional needs, and their limits. They've learned that their energy is precious. When they imagine sharing their life with someone else, they don't picture romance alone. They picture compromise, emotional labor, negotiation, and often sacrifice. And for some, that imagined cost simply feels higher than the reward. This doesn't mean they dislike men or fear intimacy. Often it means they value peace. Peace is underrated in a world that constantly glorifies passion, drama, and intensity. After experiencing relationships that brought anxiety instead of comfort, chaos instead of stability, some women reach a point where they ask a simple question: is this actually making my life better? When the honest answer is no, choosing singleness becomes an act of self-respect. Another reason is independence. Real independence, not the romanticized version. Many women have worked hard to build lives they enjoy. They've created careers, routines, friendships, and personal goals that feel deeply fulfilling. In this context, a relationship is no longer a necessity. It's an optional addition. And if that addition threatens to disrupt what they've built, it's easy to understand why they might decline it altogether. Historically, women were often pushed into relationships for survival, financial security, social acceptance, safety. Today, many women can provide these things for themselves. When survival is no longer the motivator, love has to stand on its own merits. It has to add value, not just occupy space. For women who don't find that added value consistently available, staying single feels like the most logical choice. There is also the matter of emotional labor. Many women grow up being taught, directly or indirectly, that it's their role to manage emotions, smooth conflicts, remember birthdays, plan holidays, and hold relationships together. Over time, this invisible work can become exhausting. Some women look at the emotional expectations placed on them in romantic partnerships and decide they no longer want that responsibility. They don't want to be someone's therapist, mother, or life manager. They want to be themselves. Being single allows them to direct their emotional energy inward or toward friendships, creative pursuits, and personal growth, areas where that energy often feels reciprocated rather than taken for granted. Past relationships also play a powerful role. For some women, the choice to remain single is shaped by heartbreak, betrayal, or long periods of being misunderstood. When you've loved deeply and been hurt deeply, you learn things you can't unlearn. You learn how vulnerable you become in close partnerships, and how long it can take to recover when things fall apart. Some women decide they don't want to keep reopening that wound, not because they are weak, but because they are wise enough to recognize patterns that don't serve them. They may have tried again and again, hoping for something different, only to find themselves repeating the same emotional cycles. At some point, stepping out of the cycle altogether feels like freedom. There is also a quiet clarity that comes from solitude. When you live alone or prioritize your own space, you hear your own thoughts more clearly. Your decisions aren't filtered through someone else's expectations. Your time belongs to you. For many women, this clarity becomes addictive in the best way. They realize how much of themselves they had been editing or suppressing in relationships, and they don't want to go back. Being single forever doesn't mean being lonely. This is one of the biggest misconceptions. Loneliness and singleness are not the same thing. Many single women have rich social lives filled with friends, family, community, and meaningful connections. They experience intimacy through conversation, shared experiences, and emotional openness, just not necessarily through romantic partnership. In fact, some women feel lonelier in relationships than they ever do on their own. Being with someone who doesn't truly see you, understand you, or respect you can create a profound sense of isolation. Once you've felt that kind of loneliness, solitude can feel comforting rather than empty. Another important factor is identity. Relationships, especially long-term ones, can sometimes blur the lines of who you are as an individual. Some women find that they lose parts of themselves in partnership, their hobbies, their ambitions, their sense of self. Staying single allows them to remain fully intact. They don't have to negotiate their dreams or shrink their desires to make space for someone else's comfort. For women who are deeply creative, ambitious, or spiritually driven, singleness can offer the freedom to pursue those paths without distraction. Their lives become focused, intentional, and aligned with their inner values rather than external expectations. Social pressure still exists, of course. Questions like, "Why are you still single?" or "Don't you want to settle down?" can be relentless. But many women who choose singleness reach a point where other people's opinions lose their power. They realize that living according to someone else's script is a guaranteed way to feel dissatisfied. Choosing to be single forever is often a radical act of honesty. It requires a woman to admit what she truly wants, even when it doesn't match what she's been told she should want. That kind of honesty takes courage. There is also the reality that not all relationships are safe or healthy. Many women have witnessed or experienced dynamics involving control, emotional neglect, or imbalance. These experiences shape their worldview. They may decide that the risk of entering another unhealthy relationship outweighs the potential reward of a healthy one. This decision isn't rooted in pessimism, it's rooted in realism. It's a recognition that love, while beautiful, is not guaranteed to be nurturing. For women who value stability and emotional safety above all else, staying single can feel like the safest choice. Some women also simply enjoy their own company. This is something society doesn't talk about enough. Liking yourself, truly enjoying being alone with your thoughts, is a skill and a gift. Women who have developed this comfort don't feel an urgent need to fill their time or space with another person. They wake up when they want, structure their days as they please, and make decisions without compromise. This autonomy becomes a core part of their happiness. The idea of giving it up, even partially, feels unnecessary. It's also important to understand that forever doesn't always mean rigid or closed. Many women who say they want to be single forever are really saying, I am not searching. They are open to life, open to connection, but not actively seeking partnership as a goal. They are content in the present, and that contentment doesn't require a romantic future to feel valid. This mindset shifts the focus from lack to abundance. Instead of feeling like something is missing, these women feel like something is complete. Their lives are full in ways that may not fit traditional narratives, but are deeply satisfying nonetheless. Culturally, we are slowly beginning to see a broader definition of fulfillment. Success is no longer only measured by marital status. Happiness is no longer assumed to come from partnership alone. As these ideas evolve, more women feel empowered to choose paths that reflect their true selves. At its core, the choice to be single forever is about alignment. It's about matching your life to your values rather than forcing yourself into a mold. For some women, love looks like partnership. For others, love looks like freedom, peace, creativity, and self-trust. Neither path is superior. What matters is choice. Real choice, not one driven by fear, pressure, or expectation, but by understanding. So when you hear that some women want to be single forever, it's worth pausing before judging. Behind that choice is often a woman who knows herself deeply, who has weighed her options honestly, and who has decided that her happiness does not depend on a relationship. And in a world that often tells women who they should be, that kind of self-determination is powerful.